Today in the Honda CB750 Cafe Racer build project, a new seat base will be made, which will integrate the rear hump. After this, a temporary seat padding is made, which can be used to check the tank to seat line and to test the driving position. Today's episode starts with making a cardboard mold for the seat base. As before, at the beginning, a piece of cardboard of suitable size is cut, which is shaped to the desired end form. This time, using the scissors was especially difficult, due to the big wound I had on the right hand. And no, it didn't come from an angle grinder, but from the blade of an ice hockey skate. However, I gritted my teeth, I was a man and I did the work myself, and I didn't ask the children to do the crafts for me. After crafting, I taped the cardboard mold again. I'm using the duct tape again, because it worked great last time too. At first I thought of making only the base of the bench, but the idea of a whole piece with the base of the seat and the hump from the same mold popped into my head. The previous fin foam mold was still in moderate condition, so I replaced the fiberglass hump with it. One of the reasons for creating a new bench bottom was also an attempt to reshape the crossing of the bracket behind the tank. This time I didn't use a cardboard mold at this point, but made the shape entirely with duct tape. I tried to get the shape even closer to the junction of the body and the tank than last time. The idea seemed really good, but I'm not sure if it was. I also filmed massive set of fiberglassing, but the GoPro Hero 9 did his own thing and crashed, so you were spared from that. As such, there was nothing new compared to previous, so if you want to see how I fiberglass and what kind of preliminary work I do, you can find them in episodes 9 and 10. I let fiberglass to dry overnight and resumed to work next day. If you're wondering why I'm doing this seat base again, the answer is quite easy. Firstly, the previous bench and the hump shown in the start of the video are okay. But the base of the seat is covering the entire frame and I would have to cut it to be able to use it with hump, and I have started to make mold from hump already. Secondly, the hump in the video does not have a front cover, so I would still have to make a solution for that. And last but not least, learning through repetition. The first few times were somehow too easy, so let's try if we can make some failures. After the basic cutting, I sanded away the biggest irregularities and fiberglass spikes. I used an eccentric sander with 120 grit paper. After that I sanded the dome again by hand using 120 grit paper and a slightly finer sanding pad. The hump needs more sanding, but now it is at least more comfortable to handle. Next, I started designing the rear part, because I want the frame to be visible from behind as much as possible so that I can embed the tail light into it. I found it extremely difficult to visualize the shape as the same for both edges. So I decided to make guidelines to the hump. I made use of the previously measured center line and fixed points, such as spring attachment stud bolts. I also measured the line on the hump, which should be at the same level at every point, with the help of tape. After that, I measured the distances from the tape to the bottom edge of the hump, at certain intermediate points, and shaped the bottom edge. This still needs to be refined, but at this stage it looks pretty good. At this point, I wanted to see how the appearance of the seat, and the tank to seat line, changes with the seat padding. By chance, I had a 100-year-old soundproofing board with a thickness of approximately 10 mm on the shelf. I used the base of the seat as a rough mold and cut out the needs for a few layers. I have heard that I could use this also as seat foam, and it does feel like though enough, if you know what I mean. I did some testing with sander and it looked promising too. I can form it like that or by using carpet knife. I also made small additional pieces on the front edge of the bottom layer so that the shape of the top layer is preserved as much as possible. For the seat foam material I have few options, and I have seen that shops in this scene also offer various products for this purpose. Friend of mine, Mr. Doodah, tipped me one local upholsterer that I should visit. Not only for seat foam but also to talk about seat upholstery. Of course, the adhesive surface of the fixing had already dried, but what could not be fixed with duct tape? Last I made the piece coming against the hump, just to see how it looks. And please remember, these will not be the final pieces I will use for seat, but only for testing at this stage, as I want to see if my ass fits to the seat at all. And of course you had to try it right away. I have to say that it looks small. Well, that's exactly what my wife says. Of course I meant the bike. I attached the Bandit's original handlebar to the bike the wrong way round, so that I can get some idea of the riding position. The first impression feels good. The legs are not at an impossible angle and the back position is not exactly terrible. Of course, when I put the clip-on bars, it moves the hand a little further. The only downside is that the knees hit the valve cover. But this can still change a little if I put the foot pegs a little further back, as I have planned. If you made it this far, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you want to see more of this style, jump to the next episode or check out the playlist to see what has happened before. Oh, and it's always nice to see grown man playing with toys and making engine noise.